Okay, let's be real for a second. You ever sit down to study, go over your notes, feel like you get everything, then the next day it's like your brain just hit delete? Yeah, you're not alone. Most people think studying is about reading and rereading, maybe highlighting some notes and hoping that somehow their brain just soaks it all up. But here's the problem. That's not how memory works. See, your brain is kind of like a leaky bucket. If you just keep dumping in information without plugging the leaks, everything you study is going to slip right out. But if you use the right techniques, the ones that actually make information stick, you'll be able to remember everything effortlessly. So let's fix this. Why most people struggle with studying. There are 3 big mistakes people make when they study. First, they read passively, just going over their notes like that's enough. Second, they cram, trying to shove everything into their brain the night before the exam. And third, they don't space out their revision, which means they forget stuff just as fast as they learn it. This is exactly what the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve proves. Without proper revision, your brain forgets nearly 80% of what you learn within 24 hours. Yeah, 80. But the good news? If you use the right techniques, you can override that forgetting process and store things in your long-term memory. So, let's talk about the 4 most powerful techniques that will completely change the way you study. Step 1, active recall, the secret to never forgetting. Think about a time when you tried to remember someone's name, but it just wouldn't come to you. Then, boom, randomly, hours later, it pops into your head. That's because your brain had to struggle to retrieve it, which actually strengthened the memory. This is exactly how active recall works. Instead of just passively reading your notes, stop and ask yourself, what did I just learn? Close your book, try to recall the key points, and only check when you get stuck. The harder your brain works to pull out information, the stronger the memory becomes. In fact, a study by Karpike and Roediger found that students who tested themselves remembered 50% more than those who just reread their notes. This is why flashcards, self-quizzing, and even explaining concepts out loud work so well. Step 2, the Feynman technique, simplify to understand. Ever noticed how you think you understand something until you try to explain it to someone else? That's because real understanding happens when you can break a concept down in simple terms. Let's say you're studying Newton's laws. Instead of memorizing the textbook definition, you could explain it like this. An object stays still unless something pushes it. If I kick a ball, it moves because I applied force. That's the Feynman technique. Taking something complex and explaining it in a way a 5-year-old could understand. And it works. Research from the University of California found that students who taught concepts to others retained up to 90% of what they learned. So, even if you don't have someone to teach, try this. Explain the topic to yourself, out loud. If you get stuck, that's a sign you don't fully understand it yet. Go back, fill in the gaps, and try again. Step 3, spaced repetition, the ultimate memory hack. You know how you remember song lyrics without even trying? It's because you hear them multiple times, spaced out over days and weeks. That's exactly how your brain wants to learn. If you study something today, don't just leave it until the exam. Review it tomorrow, then again in a few days, then again in a week. Each time, it takes less effort to remember, and the information sticks for longer. A Harvard study found that students who used spaced repetition remembered 200% more than those who crammed. So instead of repeating everything in one night, spread it out over time. Step 4, the Pomodoro technique. Study smarter, not longer. Ever notice how after studying for an hour straight, your brain just shuts down? That's because your focus works in bursts, not marathons. The Pomodoro technique is the solution. 1, study for 25 minutes, full focus, no distractions. 2, take a 5-minute break, walk around, grab water, whatever. 3, repeat for 4 rounds, then take a longer break. A University of Illinois study found that short, focused study sessions improve concentration and memory retention, way better than long, exhausting study marathons. So if you ever feel like your brain is fried, it's not you, it's your study method. Switch to Pomodoros and watch how much more you get done in less time. bonus tips to boost your memory even more. Now, if you really want to take your studying to the next level, here are a few extra hacks. First, use visuals. Instead of writing pages of notes, try using mind maps, charts, and diagrams. Your brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. Second, use mnemonics. If you have to memorize a list, turn it into a simple acronym. Like in math, instead of struggling to remember the order of operations, you just remember PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And one of the most underrated tricks? Study before bed. Sleep helps lock in memories, so if you go over a topic right before you sleep, you'll wake up remembering more than if you studied earlier in the day. The way most people study is broken. If you're just rereading and highlighting, you're wasting time. But if you switch to active recall, spaced repetition, the Feynman technique, and Pomodoro sessions, you'll never have to struggle with revision again. So here's the challenge. Try one of these techniques today, just one, and see how much of a difference it makes. Because once you see how well it works, studying will never